Well, guys, thank you for being here. I know it's been very tough and a lot of NFT content for the last 2 days, so thank you so much for being here. Um, Obviously, this is an NFT conference. Anyway, I want to know from you guys, who owns an NFT of you guys here in the room? Is it everybody? Does everybody? Okay, not everybody. Who runs your own business? That's quite some people. So if you run your own business, if you run your own brands, and you want to bridge your brands or your business into Web3, in my little presentation here, I want to explain to you why your brand or your business needs an NFT community in order to be successful in Web3. Where is the, oh, here we go. That was too far. But before I start, I want to introduce myself real quick first. So my name is Chris. I've been working as a web developer and web designer since 2004, so I've been around the web space in development for quite a while already. I'm the founder of Chris and Friends Web Design Agency. We're a classic Web2 company based in Berlin. We're 25 people, and we're technically building anything on your screens, on your phones, websites, online shops, content production, and so on. In 2021, we founded the NFT Berlin, which is our service-providing company in order to bridge our Web2 customers into Web3. So this is my background. This is where I come from. And one thing I want to show you guys, I don't know how deeply everybody here is in the whole topic of Web3 in general, because in order to understand why your brand or your business needs this community in Web3, I want to scratch the surface real quick about where Web3 actually comes from. It's not going to be a deep dive into this. This would be its very own keynote, but just to make sure that we scratch this topic real quick. So there used to be something in the 1970s that we called Web 1. We call it the static internet. It was this type of internet where you guys could just simply absorb information, but you couldn't really do anything with this. After that, we had something that came up. It's called the Web 2. We call it the interactive internet. After something called a dot-com bubble. It's probably the web that all you guys, depending on how old you are, that you grew up with. It's this internet, this web where you share stuff, you like stuff, you book your next ticket to Lisbon, to the next NFC, and so on. Interactive web. And then there's something more or less new. It's called Web3. It's based on blockchain technology, and it can obviously do a lot of things. And one thing that we're talking about today is the digital ownership NFTs. Where was it? Oh, too far. Sorry. So first of all, what actually is an NFT community? So an NFT community are those guys, we call them the Web3 native people. Those are the guys that have already set up a wallet, that have already funds in their wallet, that know how to trade, mint, sell NFTs. And those guys that are active on the Web3 and NFT social media, which is mostly, at this time at least, Discord and Twitter. Those are NFT communities, again, the Web3 native people, and those are the circles, the ecosystem that you want to bring your brand, your digital asset, your values, your NFTs into. Those are NFT communities, and I'm giving you three pretty famous examples: Doodles, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and CloneX. Those are NFT communities, for those who don't know yet. Now I'm going to give you a little example of a big fashion brand trying to enter Web3 in 2021 without collaborating with an NFT community, with not a very good outcome of numbers. And after that, I'm going to show you the exact same brand doing the same thing 1 year later, collaborating with an NFT community with a completely different outcome on numbers. So, the fashion brand that we talk of, it's a little bit small here. I hope you guys can see this. So, this fashion brand dropped an NFT in 2021, and the use case was very, very simple. One NFT equals one physical product. Super simple use case, right? And the total amount of owners, we're talking about a tier 1 fashion brand that's active around the globe. The total amount of owners back then was 5 owners, and the total amount of the NFTs, the digital assets being traded, was 16. And again, for those who don't know, every time your NFT gets traded on a marketplace, you as the NFT creator, you get a fraction of this in your wallet. And if we are, let's say, this tier 1 fashion brand, then your total amount of customers in Web3 is 5, and the last time your NFT was traded is over 465 days ago, then I think we agree on the fact that this is not a very successful NFT drop. Especially if you focus on the number on the bottom right, you can see the total amount of Ethereum being traded on the smart contract, which is roughly 300 euros. Again, we're talking about a tier 1 fashion brand, and again, I think this is not a very successful outcome. Now, the same brand entering Web3, let's say again, collaborating with an NFT community and have completely different outcome and numbers. And I'm going to show you what those numbers look like. And after that, I'm going to explain to you how they did it. So, first of all, let's focus on this image here on the left because the use case has changed. Remember before we had one NFT equals one physical product. Now we have one NFT equals 10% in a discount in the brand's online shop. Different use case. And as you can see, the visual layer has changed as well. It's now something that we call a profile picture NFT. It looks maybe a little bit cartoonish for the Western people, but this drop was mostly made for the Asian market, and this kind of style and design technically works pretty well in Asia. Now let's look at the numbers. All of a sudden, this new NFT drop, 1 year later, we have over 1,000 NFT owners. The total amount of trades, before it was 16, now we have roughly 2,500. And the last time your NFT, the brand's NFT, was traded on a marketplace is no longer 1.5 years ago. It's roughly 25 minutes ago. And if you look at the total amount of income of this smart contract, it's roughly $1 million. So if we compare the first NFT drop without a community and the second NFT drop, the question arises, how did they do that? How did they come from such a, let's say, low numbers on the first NFT drop to such high numbers on the second NFT drop? And the answer to this is, if you run a business, if you run a brand, and you want to enter Web3, you want to step foot in Web3, your brand must partner with an active NFT community in order to bridge your brand into Web3. And this sentence actually is not 100% correct. Because if you run a brand, if you run a business, and you want to get into Web3 with NFTs, you must give value to an active NFT community. Now the question is, how do you give value to an NFT community? You guys may know if you're Web3 natives and you're all into the NFT space, but for a brand outside of this space, they're like, okay, gotcha, we need to give value to the community, but how do we do that? And I'm going to give you an example of the brands that we just talked about, how they did it. So let's focus on the use case again real quick. Remember, one NFT equals a 10% discount in the online shop. That's the value we give. That's the value that has to get foot into Web3. So what these guys did, this fashion brands, they went out into the NFT space. You got to know the community founders, the community managers, and so on. And they were looking for an NFT community. In this case, the name was Imaginary Ones. It's roughly 9,000 NFT holders, again, Web3 native people, those guys that have already set up a wallet, that know how to trade your NFTs, that know how to mint NFTs, and last but not least, this community is super active in the social media space of Web3. As we all know, it's Twitter and Discord, so roughly 500,000 Twitter followers and roughly 50,000 people on Discord, all Web3 natives, or most of them. And again, this is the bubble, this is the ecosystem where you want to bring your value that we just talked about into. And this is exactly how they did it, and I'm going to show you how. If this works. Next. Yes, here we go. So what happened was, the brand was officially announcing a collaboration, again, with this NFT community called Imaginary Ones. And this value, those NFTs, 10% discount, was split into two. 50% were given to the existing Web2 customers using existing Web2 techniques. Anything goes from Twitter, it's not Twitter, from Instagram to email lists, whatever you have, 50% were given to the existing customers. But the more important part is the other 50%. The other 50% were given to the Web3 native people, again, the people that are already in the space, that already have a voice in the Web3 ecosystem, in the NFT space in general. And the outcome was this. We have it's 5,700% more mentionings about this fashion brand entering the Web3 space than 1 year before, and this led to a completely sellout of over 1,000 NFTs in less than 2 hours. If we compare the first approach into Web3 and the second one, this is much, much more successful simply by collaborating with an existing NFT community. So if there's one takeaway from this little presentation here is that if you're planning to drop a digital asset, digital values into Web3, don't just do it for the sake of doing it, because the technique itself will not make you successful in Web3. It's a little bit like 15 years ago in Web2 when I was serving my Web2 customers saying, okay, now we finally want to get in this internet. Now where is the success? We launched this website, but where is the success that we were promised in this so-called Web2 internet? The technology itself will not make it successful. These days, everybody knows that if you want to be successful, you need a strategy. You need a marketing strategy. It's completely obvious now in Web 2. But in Web 3, it's the same. You need a strategy in order to be successful with your NFT brand and your mints and your sales in Web 3. And if you do this, if you follow this instruction, you're actually in really, really good company. The brands that you see here, they were all successful in Web 3 because they partnered with existing NFT communities. And my personally favorite example is actually Adidas. I guess everyone in the room here more or less is aware of this. This brand understood over 1.5 years ago, if they want to step foot with their brand, Adidas, into Web 3, they were collaborating back then with the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which everyone, I guess, is aware of. That was, looking back, a very, very successful NFT drop for this fashion brand. It was actually that successful that just a couple weeks ago, they announced to do the exact same thing again with another NFT community called Doodles. So again, if you run a brand, if you run a business, and you want to step foot into Web3, make sure you collaborate with the people that are already in the space, that already have the reach and the voice in the Web3 space. That's it. Thank you. I don't know if we have time for questions. If someone has a question. Done? I don't know. I can barely see you guys. It's so bright here. Okay, if no one, fair enough. Cool. Thank you.